exploring disabilities and madness in the comics and cinematic representation of Joker and Batman. I started with the madness by showing that madness, in its wild, untamable words, proclaims its own meaning. In its chimeras, it utters its secrets, truth. The present paper explores how comics portray what the mental or physical hindrance is in the comics of superheroes and how they are formed and behave along with their personas and powers. The present paper begins with an overview of stylistic feature of comics and films of Jokers and reveal his psychological underpinnings. Joker is a supervillain we all know, criminal mastermind created by Bob Kane, Bill Finger and Jerry Robinson in American comic books. The paper underlines a psychological analysis in the comics named Alan Moore, Batman, the Killing Joke. The Present Man by Michel Foucault highlights the idea that madness has its own inherent language and logic. According to Foucault, madness is not just a chaotic or irrational state, but rather a distinct way of communicating and expressing truth. The wild, untamable words refer to the unconventional and unstructured language of madness, which challenges traditional notion of reason, rationality, and through its chimeras of fantastical delusions, creations, madness reveals his own unique truth, one that is hidden from the rational and the sane world. I have already discussed this. So, in Batman the Killing Joke, the Alan Moore recrafted Joker who embodies Michel Foucault's the idea of madness. The Joker madness is not merely irrational chaos, it is a deliberate symbolic act that exposes deeper truth about identity, trauma, and society fragile in sense of order. The Joker believes that the life is a cruel joke and that sanity is nothing more than a fragile illusion. In his entire plot in The Killing Joke, paralyzing Barbara Gordon, torturing Commissioner Gordon, is designed to prove even the most rational and upstanding individuals can be driven to insanity by a single catastrophic event. His wild, untamable words manifest in his nihilistic philosophy, where he sees madness as the only logical response to an absurd world. He does not see himself as an insane, but rather as someone who has woken up to the truth that morality, justice, that insanity are illusion that people are clinging to in order to cope with life's inherent futility. One of the most haunting aspects of The Killing Joke, Joker's contradictory backstory. He recounts the tragedy of being a failed comedian who lost his wife and unborn child, pushing him into a crime and ultimately transferring him into a joker. However, he later states, I am going to have a past. I prefer it to be multiple choice. The line claims that madness speaks through chimeras, that illusion and fragmented realities. Joker's ever shifting identity challenges the idea of stable shelf, suggesting that insanity is itself a contrast, not real more than its chaotic delusions. By refusing to adhere a fixed origin, the Joker embodies the idea that identity is not a singular, stable entity but a fluid and chaotic force. This reflects postmodern and psychoanalytical perspective that sees the self as fragmented rather than the whole. If one sense of self is rooted in the memory and experience, then the Joker is constantly shifting backstory suggests that both are unreliable. His madness is not just about external chaos, it is an existential rejection of self, of ordered self. The Joker's obsession with Batman reinforces the notion that madness is meaningless but holds a deeper, often suppressed truth. Joker argues that he and Batman are similar, both are shaped by tragedy. But while Joker embraces chaos, Batman clings to order. By forcing Batman into a moral dilemma, Joker attempts to reveal the secret truth. The Batman wars on crime, itself a form of madness. Batman, the superhero with a shadowy dark persona, has witnessed unresolved traumatic experience during his such as witnessing murder experienced by a lone murderer named Joe Chill in One Night in Crime LA. So Batman is the deep psychological complex stranger in the comic book history who suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder by Sir Langleyson. I have been quoted by in one of his books. Post-traumatic stress disorder is the state of mental health that affects an individual who undergoes major catastrophic events in his life such as war, rape, murder, terrorism, natural disasters. So, like in his book by Travis Langley, Batman and Psychological Dark Stormy Night, noted that this American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder by DSM-4 or DSM-TR provides a certain criteria to diagnose when post-traumatic stress disorder becomes pathological. Criteria A of DSM refers to trauma. As the origin of Batman's storylines, Bruce Wayne does not only survive with his trauma, but channels fear into a mission. The emergence of transformation portrays a concept of post-traumatic growth in Bruce's life, which is also recognized by some scholars who believe that PTG is a positive psychological change which is a legitimate response to trauma like PTSD. Another important criteria plays a crucial role in Batman's psychological narrative is criterion B of DSM, which refers to persistent re-experiencing. This criterion suggests that constant reliving of the trauma with flashback of crime scenes. Like you can see the flashback of that crime scenes. The murder scene of Bruce Wayne's childhood did not fade. Instead, recurs as vivid recollections, appearing again and again in flashback. These vivid recollections of Batman's childhood memories that get triggered when darkness falls over the Gotham City. Every night as Gotham City sleeps, Bruce Wayne transforms into Batman who, donning the mask and cape, appears as vigilante to beat the criminals. This nocturnal superhero is both haunted and driven by his trauma. Criteria C is linked by persistent avoidance emotional numbing. Individuals who suffer from PTSD usually avoid triggered behaviors, but Bruce Wayne does not evade his trauma. Instead, he actively confronts and psychologically absorbs it. His vigilantism requires him to relive the tragic murder of his parents every night, rather than suppressing triggered thought, numbing his emotion and avoid discussions about his past. Bruce Wayne drives his pain into a strong mission. Yes, the Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight presents Joker, Heath Ledger, who perfectly embodies Foucault's idea that madness is meaningless but chaos, but a formless expression that reveals deeper, often hidden truths about society. The Joker in this film operates without a clear motive, origin, or personal attachments. He constantly shifting narratives about his past align to the present. So the Joker's actions in the movies are not motivated by the greed, revenge, or power in the traditional sense. Instead, he seeks to dismantle the illusion of control that society clings to. His wild, untamable words, his cryptic monologues, conflicting backstories serve to disrupt the established order of the society. He forces Gotham citizens and even Batman himself to confront the uncomfortable idea that morality, justice, and order is a fragile construct easily dismantled by chaos. See, in the movie he said madness is just like a gravity, all you need is a little push. So this idea, madness is utters a secret truth that societal order, that I say, that is an illusion sustained by arbitrary rules and expectations. And the Joker exposes the hypocrisy is how people process violence and tragedy, demonstrating that what is considered normal is simply what people have been conditioned to accept. Okay, the present slide is about Todd Phillips' Joker, presents a deeply psychological exploration of Arthur Fleck's descent to madness, depicting his struggles with mental illness, societal alien issues, and identity crisis. crisis. Although often mistaken for Tourette syndrome, Arthur's uncontrollable laughter aligns more closely to PBA, his pseudo-bulbar effect, a neurological disorder causing involuntary emotional outbursts. This involuntary laughter serves as a symbol of the inner turmoil, highlighting the disconnect between his emotional suffering and society's inability to understand or support him. The film functions as psychoanalytical symbolic representation, exposing how mental illness is neglected and stigmatized in modern society. In modern society, Arthur's journey can be analyzed through Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytical theory. Sorry. And Jacques Lacan's framework of the symbolic, real, and imaginary stage, which helps structure his psychological transformation. Freud's model of the psyche reveals Arthur's repressed anger and trauma, which ultimately lead to the collapse of his moral conscience, the superego, and the full emergence of his primal chaotic ideal. Lacan's, though I have few time left, so I need to go for the conclusion. So, Jokers in both the comics and cinematic adaptations embodies the intersection of madness, disability, and societal neglect. Through a psychological lens, this paper explores how the character reflects the complexity of mental illness and challenges that construct of insanity and order. From Batman killing Joke to Dark Knight and the Joker movie, Joker's characters serve as a manifestation of the concept of madness, one that defies traditional rationality and instead exposes deeper truths about identity, trauma, and the fragility of social structures. His ever-changing backstory, fragmented self, and chaotic philosophy align with Lacanian psychoanalysis, illustrating the disintegration of the self through the imagery, symbolic, and the real stages. Furthermore, Freud's model of the psyche provides insight into the Joker's transformation, where his suppressed trauma and the societal rejection lead to the collapse of the ego and the rise of the anarchic id. Ultimately, Joker is more than the vigilante villain. He is more reflecting the failures of the institutions, the alienations of marginalized, and the consequences of neglecting mental illness. His madness is not meaningless, but a rebellion against the imposed order, revealing the unsettling truth that insanity or sanity itself may be nothing but than the fragile illusion. By analyzing Joker through psychoanalytic and philosophical frameworks, this paper underscores the significance of his character as both literary construct and the cultural critic, challenging audience to reconsider their perception of